Hey guys, it's Jerry. Wanted to take a quick second to talk to you before Joe talks to you guys about kind of what we're doing and why we're doing it. Everybody's got ductulators. Everybody's got Magna Helax. So what we're trying to do is a better job of being technicians, a better job of qualifying customers. And one huge opportunity that nobody's really diving into is ductwork. It's our biggest potential. It's our biggest lead turnover opportunity. First off, I'm going to tell you why we're doing it from a numbers standpoint. So when you break down departments on margin, service and maintenance are part of the nut of overhead that we have to cover, which is roughly 25% of all our daily overhead. So really what that means is once we do the numbers of where we're at right now, it puts the responsibility of service at about $2,500 a day that you guys are responsible to create just to pay the bills, just to keep you guys running. There's not a lot of margin built into that. This service is supposed to be a machine that feeds everything else, not necessarily carries everything else, but we can flip the script a little bit using ductwork, using air quality to where we can exceed this using good diagnostics and good methods to create more opportunities for either you guys or for Joe to grab onto. So this 2,500 really what it breaks down, if we're running 10 calls a day between theoretically, we'll call it two techs, 10 calls a day, really puts the average at about $200 that we need out of every call. The problem with that is that on maintenances that are already paid for, that counts towards the average, which brings it down and makes it a little bit harder to carry that $200 average. So when we actually look at the averages right now, with warranty calls and everything else, we're covering more about 150 to 125. So Joe's done a good job of getting you guys in the habit of doing a better job of turning over. And we're going to be talking a lot about KPIs. And really what Joe's been trying to get you guys to understand is service is supposed to have a 50% turnover KPI. So that means half of the calls that you guys go to should be converted to a flip of some sort. So when you take 50% of those calls, if we run 10 calls, there should be 5 opportunities. Now an opportunity doesn't necessarily mean to flip a unit. We're going to include ductwork, we're going to include air quality, and really you don't need to know a whole lot about that. That's Joe's job to do, is his job to understand ductwork, air quality. It's your job to qualify it, which is where this and the Magna Helax come in. So the funny thing about the service is the more I dig into it, the more that I understand it, it's more about the turnover than it is the actual daily number. So if we give you guys 10 calls, you hit the $200 average, it's great. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really pay our bills. It doesn't really progress the company any further. If you give me 5 opportunity calls to Joe, he converts 50% of them, 1 sale, maybe 1 ductwork, then we're in a ball game of where your 5 $200 averages created a $10,000 opportunity. And that's where the company starts growing. That's a growth model. The company starts growing, starts making money. That KPI, the 50% turnover, moves the dial more than anything else. Your ticket average, your warranty average, the maintenance average, the maintenance plan averages. These are all different KPIs that we're going to watch, but really none is more important.
Tell them what KPI is.
Huh?
Tell them what KPI is.
Key performance indicator. So a KPI is a key performance indicator. That means that's what we have to measure you guys. So through Service Titan, what I see is call average, turnover, and plans sold. Those are the main ones that I'm keeping an eye on. The one we're doing not a great job is selling plans, and we're going to work on that. But the most important is turnover, so we're going to start there. And that's one that Joe's been pretty good at really getting you guys to understand. But there's a bigger opportunity for turnovers that we're turning the corner on a little bit because I'm starting to see it. But we wanted to make it official, put the tools in your hand so that you can create the turnovers that we need. Do you have your ductulator?
Yeah.
So everything in Vegas is undersized by default to a point where it's really insane when you start doing the math. So the first thing you do in a customer's house is you got to get your static. Kevin can explain static, but it's really just a variable. What you want between the return side and the supply side, it's a difference of 0.5, right?
0.05.
0.05. So this needs to be 0.05 from here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get this number, and figure out the difference. So the beginning of your process of qualifying is you get a number that's bigger than this 0.05, then you're in business. So what you do is you measure the return, you go to your duculator, and you do some really quick math, and all of a sudden you've got a conversation with the customer. Okay, Mr. and Mr. Homeowner, I did a magnehelic tech, just a basic check, and your system's showing really high static pressure. I went one step further to figure out what's going on. I looked at your ductwork. So when I look at your ductwork here, you've got 14-inch flex on let's call it a 4-ton unit. So 14-inch flex on a 4-ton is running at what percent capacity?
The tonnage doesn't matter.
Oh yes, okay. So 14-inch flex has a maximum airflow
CFM
of
on a return of 475.
Of 475.
475 CFMs.
That's not right.
It is.
Is it?
Yes.
So when you
on a return, not on a supply.
On the return side, but the return side's fine. So 475 CFM. So your capacity is just over 1 ton of air on a CFM. So if you're doing, this is basically running at 25% utilization of that return duct.
Because you need 1,600 CFMs for a 4-ton.
Right. So you need 1,600 CFM. So we're majorly undersized. What does this do for the house? We already know efficiency is going to get hurt. It's going to hurt the compressor because the refrigerant's not going to flash the right way. The air's not going to move past the coil the right way. Motors go out early. And the reason this is becoming a big deal is all the new ECM motors that are mandated for this big furnace change, they're electronic. They're way more sensitive than just a motor on a magnet that's just going to spin at one speed. So we're seeing a lot of early failures because we're not doing our due diligence of checking on our own installs to make sure that we've got the right size return on the system. So once you do this math for a customer, you're not selling anything. You're being a good technician by saying, hey, you're only getting 25% utilization out of your ductwork. I've got a guy that's a little better than me that he can explain the ductwork stuff to you because honestly, I'm just a tech. I'm here to give you information. That's all I want to do. You got them hooked in. They want to talk about ductwork. You presented a real solution with real numbers and real information to support it using the stuff that's in your truck. The magnehelic sets you up. The duculator confirms it, and you just present. That's all we're asking you to do is present the facts. So when you break this down even further and you say, okay, wait a second. So if a 14 on a 4-ton is that restrictive, where are we supposed to be at? So when you do this, it gets even more clear how big the problem is in Las Vegas. So there are metrics on where we're supposed to be at certain sizes right out the gate. And we've been doing it wrong for a long time. Because when I started doing this, I was surprised at the numbers. So the right size for a 2-ton
14
is a 14. The right size for a 2.5-ton
is technically 15, so it would be 16.
So it's technically 15, but you can go up to a 16.
Because you're not going to go 15.
Right, because we don't like even numbers. And what's the 3?
So we're at, was it 2.5? Oh no, I'm sorry. I did that wrong. That was wrong. 16. It's 16.
So 3-ton becomes 16. 3.5.
2.5 was straight 16.
Oh, so it wasn't this.
I was on the wrong one.
So 2.5 is 16.
And then 3-ton would be. We need to start over because
Yeah, I think it was 17 because
I did. I was starting on 1 ton. So 2-ton
is 15.
Is 15.
Because the 2-ton technically was 475. So 2-ton is 15.
Yep.
2.5 16.
And 3-ton is 18.
So 3-ton, 18-inch. So all he's doing is testing the water column pressure at the right diameter to figure out the proper CFM max.
So you're doing return is at 0.05 and supply is at 0.10.
Which puts me 1,500 at 8 ton. So if I move this over to 16, it's 20. So technically 3.5 is 19, 4 is 20,
and then 22.
And then 5 is
22.
22. So this is by the duculator testing, and they'll show you in the office how to use these. The static pressure that you want is going to sit at the half a inch of water column, and then you start matching your diameters to that, and that's how you get this. The truth is, if you have this, you don't need this. But what this does is it's something you can grab tangibly in front of the customer, show them so they know you're not blowing smoke up their ass, show them the diameter, show them the CFM, and you can show them the percentage of utilization. So it's, we've all made the comparisons of, drinking a lake through a regular straw. You can only get so much water through a single size straw, right? You're never going to be able to increase the amount of water that comes through, no matter how much velocity you put behind it. Your head would explode. So ductwork's the same way. So utilization is huge because this is creating a lot of problems that, especially in home warranty, we get these units that we've got one right now. The compressors have gone out, both of them in the last 2 years on an old system, and one of them's out again. The guy wants a whole new unit. What's the bigger underlying issue? His system's under duress because his return duct isn't sized properly, and the system's going to continuously fail unless we find the overlying product. The other thing that makes this a huge opportunity for us is that this applies to units that we've installed in the past. This is a great way to turn over home warranty because all of a sudden home warranty, everyone wants to complain that there's no opportunities. They just want to do it. There's no opportunities because we're not asking the right questions. So, and there's not a single person that we're going to walk into that's going to not go unnoticed. But like, you know what, I've always wondered, it doesn't seem like it works great. Well, yeah, sure. Back then, construction was so fast, they put minimum standards on everything. They didn't want to pay for 22-inch ductwork, especially when they're doing 100 homes in a day. So they're going to go the cheapest route they can. And there's no real guideline from the contractor that says you have to meet a certain static pressure. But the manufacturer does state this. And that's the other thing that you have for backup. The manufacturer mandates the 0.5 difference in water column. So as a technician going through a maintenance, it's your job to make sure we're working within manufacturer standards, and that's how you become a better tech. Is we're finding out how many times we fix a capacitor and then a blower motor fails or a condenser fan motor fails because we didn't go one step further. We just took it at face value. So this is going one step further from taking things at face value and just saying, maybe there's a bigger underlying product. We don't want to just fix equipment. We want to come up with solutions that nobody else is talking about. Because basically what's happening is this makes you the authority. So price all of a sudden isn't an issue anymore because you're talking about something that nobody else had mentioned. You're talking about stuff that's so next level to them because they've had technicians, they've had home warranty, fixing. Well, who's ever really offered a solution? So the biggest thing here that Joe needs from you guys is to set an expectation for a financial commitment. Once we set up a financial commitment, Joe can do the rest. And that threshold is about $600. So Joe will talk to you guys about what you can quote, what you can't quote, how far you can go with it, and what you can offer. But always remember, even on home warranty, and you've seen Joe flip a lot of home warranty, once he gets that commitment over $600, there's a different mindset that takes place. They're like, you know what, there's something that I can do here. So for Joe's sake, he walks in with somebody that's got a $600 commitment, and he says, ma'am, I can get you all new ductwork, I can get your return resized, I can get you everything resolved for $200 a month. How does that sound? What did he just do? Identified a problem. With your help, he got into the door where we have a 20-year-old unit that they want to continuously pour money into. He created a need that, yeah, you're going to have to pay. Just to get your 20-year-old unit working, you're going to have to invest. Once they're invested, it's a game changer. It's the reason companies like Gettle, yes, 1 hour, that's why they grow, that's why they make money, is they're finding solutions other people aren't looking for, and then they're building value in not only the company, but the intellect behind the technician to say, maybe there's something more. So the question keeps coming back to me, the complaint keeps coming back to me that technicians don't want to sell, that they went to school to become technicians, not salespeople. So how is this becoming, how is this selling? You're taking factual information supported by stuff that you can't fudge, and you're using it to present a bigger picture of why somebody should do something that's in their best interest. Is it in his best interest to run a 22-year-old unit on a small return that's going to cost him a fortune? And I'll take it one step further. Is it in his best interest if he's paying $500 on a utility bill, Joe can get him $200 in savings, he can give him a $200 a month unit. In the meantime, they get a 10-year parts, 10-year labor, all that peace of mind, plus the savings once it's paid off. It's a win-win. We're not doing wrong by people, we're doing right. And a lot of this is just changing your mentality of what is doing right by customers. And as a technician, you are the military Marines, the first one in the house that we want to take ownership of that house and that customer and say, yes, trust us with your house, trust us with your money. We're not out to gouge you because we know who those guys are, but we are here to present real solutions. We are here to change the perception of air conditioning in Las Vegas. That's my spiel. Joe, you can take over.